Welcome or welcome back to the Lawkward Chronicles. My name is Larissa and today we are doing my March book wrap up. So if you're curious about the new setup of my bookshelves, don't worry, a vlog is coming. All will be revealed, but sneaky peeks for the next few videos. Enjoy that. March is 3 months long, I tell ya. It is the longest month. I don't know how and I don't know why, but March is forever. And I read 9 books in March. That is crazy, crazy business. I have no business doing that, but I've also been using it for a lot of escapism because I've been stressed. So let's just jump right in, shall we? The first book I read on my Kindle, actually I don't know what order these are in. They're in order of what will not fall over. One of the books I read this month was on my Kindle, Pretend by R.L. Matthewson. It is part of the Neighbor from Hell series, and that is my guilty pleasure series. It is so fun. It's just lighthearted, goofy silliness. And this one was a childhood friends to lovers, and they're just so cute. They're so fun. I really liked it for the fact they both like each other. It just made me so happy. It made me so happy. There was just miscommunication was huge on it though, so that's the annoying part, but like I really enjoyed just the comfort read that it gives. It's so cozy, it's so fun. Yeah, I love this series. They're quick, they're fun, they're fast, very lighthearted, very comfortable. So if that's something that you're into and just need like a light, fluffy read, that series is my go-to for sure. Next up, I listened to Room by Emma Donoghue, mainly because the words are very small, and if you saw at the beginning of the month, I did a road trip down to Chicago, and so this is one of the books I listened to, and it was something. It is narrated in the point of view of the 5-year-old Jack, and him and his mom are in this room, which is what, 11 by 11, and that's where they live. That's Jack's whole world. They cannot go outside, and Ma is in there with him, and there is this man that comes in and does some things, and it was disgusting. It's a really good and powerful book, but definitely look up the trigger warnings for it. And it was really interesting to see when they are in Room and then when they are outside of Room and all of the things that entail through that. There is a lot that happens emotionally. And again, Jack is 5 years old, but he's a very intelligent 5-year-old, but he just is not up to social cues. He's not been around anybody besides Ma. So this was very good. I highly recommend. I haven't seen the movie from it. I don't know if I want to because it really freaked me out. Proceed with caution. Next up was Half Broke Horses by Jeanette Walls, and this was about Jeanette Walls' grandmother. Her grandmother was a badass. I also listened to this one via audiobook on that drive, and her grandmother lived in the past, obviously, you know, back before, kind of around the time where cars were coming into play, but she lived on a very remote ranch and was pretty much the backbone of that ranch life, helping her father break horses and live that life, but she also wanted to be a teacher, and so she would just pick herself up and she moved to Chicago, which was so cool. She also learned to fly planes, and she's just one woman you wouldn't want to mess with. Next up, I reread Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid since the show came out, and I wanted to read the book again before the show came out and heavily annotate it. And I heavily annotated it, and I absolutely loved it. Once again, it's still such an amazing read, and this time I actually wrote down the key people and like what their role was, because I would get so confused the first time I read it. I was just like, who is this person? How are they related to the band? That kind of thing. So it was really helpful this time around to have that little cheat sheet. As for the show, I really like the show. Don't get me wrong, the show is fantastic. I love it. I love the casting. The casting is ideal, except, you know, they nixed, what's his face? What was it, Pete? Yeah. Pete was nowhere, which that was annoying. I don't know why that happened. Anyway, they didn't stick exactly to the book, and it really upset me. So it was really hard to watch, but once I separated the two and realized they're just going to be separate entities, it was fantastic. Obviously, there's going to be changes. We can't all have the exact cut, copy, paste, even though we should, because this was a masterpiece to begin with. They did a really good job with the show. It just, I wish it was exactly like the book. Next up, I read Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. It is part of the Throne of Glass series, and it is technically the second, is that correct? The second book. So it's the prequel, the first Throne of Glass, and then Crown of Midnight is the second. So it's about an assassin, Selena Sardathian, and she is the highly revered assassin. And no spoilers here. You'll just have to read the series, but I really, really love the series, and the series is very slow to start. This one had a lot of puzzle pieces going into place, or, you know, things locking into place, getting momentum moving forward. And I think the third is where the series is really going to pick up. I believe this book is the key to setting up the rest of the series, and I'm so pumped to see where the journey takes us. Also, there's new covers for this. I feel like she just keeps getting new covers for all of her series, and I don't understand why. The next book I'd like to talk about is Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. Holy schmoly guacamole, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that this one took me for a wild ride. I was hooked from page 1, the prologue. Hooked me immediately, and I could not stop reading it. I was so mad when I had to go to work because I just wanted to read this book all day, every day. And then when the big things happened, they just kept happening. My jaw, I was a snake. My jaw just hung right down because there was so much. I gasped in many, many spots. And this is about Skye and Dean Holder, or Holder, if you will, and their relationship to one another, and a bunch of other stuff. Please look up the trigger warnings for this. This is a lot. And Colleen Hoover has a really great way of making me have a visceral reaction to her writing and to these stories, because they're traumatic. So please do yourself a favor and look at the trigger warnings before proceeding with this, okay? Because there are some big things in here. I think this is going to be, I mean, Verity was fantastic, but that's more of a thriller, so we won't count that. I think this is my new favorite Colleen Hoover book. It was phenomenal, and it will definitely be sticking with me for a very long time. Hopefully for the good more than the bad, because, oof. Again, visceral reactions. It was a lot. A lot. Okay. The Reunion by Kayla Olson. This was one of the Book of the Month picks, and this is a second chance romance, Hollywood, actors, movie-ish type stuff. It's a reunion show or reunion episode or special that it's been like 10 or 13 years or something since this big childhood TV show came about, and they're filming a reunion special, and it is reminding me of something that like you would see on Freeform, kind of like a Gilmore Girls, more light and funny, but also with like some deep life stuff happening, so kind of getting that dramedy in it. So that's kind of what this show reminds me of. This is about Liv Latimer, and she is the face of Girl on the Verge, and they are back to film the reunion special, and her best friend from the show, also her love interest in the show, and also the guy she had the biggest crush on, is Joel, and they have not spoken really since the end of the show, and now it's 10, 13 years later, whatever it is, and they're grown up, and stuff ensues. They need to get past some stuff. I did enjoy this. So Kayla Olson is a newer romance author, so it is a closed door romance, and she takes a lot of inspiration from Emily Henry. You can definitely see the parallels with that style of writing. Kayla Olson, I believe, started out as a young adult author, and you can really see that in her writing. It reads very YA, but becoming a little bit more of that adult version. I am excited to see where her career as an author goes from here. I think she will flourish eventually, and I really did enjoy this. It was just a little bit too YA for me still, and that's okay. Again, it's a closed door romance, so that's exciting for people that don't like the smut. But I love the smut, and there was none in here, but the tension and the pining and the yearning was really great and steamy, and I loved that aspect. And the thing that I also wasn't a fan of is in between chapters, it pulled a gossip column, and it did that with Funny You Should Ask as well. Yeah, Funny You Should Ask by Alyssa Sussman. I don't know what the deal is with everybody doing those little blog entries. I felt like that really took away from the story. I didn't think it was super necessary to have. It didn't really add anything to it besides like a little bit behind the scenes of what was going on, but it didn't enhance the story by any means. So our book club pick was Someone Else's Shoes by Jojo Moyes, and this was a women's fiction. It's very much a female empowerment, female friendship bonding story, women in their 40s, and just the roles they take in their everyday life. And there's a strong mental health component to it, and what happens when these two women who are on completely different trajectories of life, how they can combine and support each other, and all the women that takes for them, that they take with them. And it's fantastic. It was just fun as well. I can definitely see this one being a movie of some sorts. She wrote it so well, thought out, and the twist was really something. I thought that was really cool. If you want to check out the reading blog, that's spoiler free. If you do end up reading it, I do have a book club episode with spoilers in it if you want to check that out as well, and you can see more of my thoughts and do the discussion questions. Just, I love women supporting women, and we need more of that in this world. And then let's go with this last one here. What a surprise this was. Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. This is steamy. This is very, very steamy. Open door romance to the max. It was great. And this is about Karina or Rina and Dr. Dill, or Dr. Prem Verma. Kind of a fake dating, or dating of convenience, if you will, or a marriage of convenience of a sorts. Enemies to lovers. Karina is 30 years old, and in order to get her mother's house that her father is selling because he's retiring to Florida, she doesn't have enough for a down payment. And in order to get the funds for that, she has to be engaged, because part of their engagement present is either help with the wedding or help with the down payment on the house. But Karina is not engaged, not even close. So she is on the hunt to find someone to get married to in the next 6 months. Dr. Prem, he is trying to get funding to open up a clinic for healthcare in more underserved populations in the Indian community. And in order to do that, he has to put on the facade of a family guy, a guy who is commitment, as well as to reinforce people to invest in this idea, as well as he is a TV show person, Dr. Dill, and he is trying to get funding for this. So if he shows that he is a man of love, which he believes in his brain that love does not exist, it's just convenience and it will not sustain. So in order to prove that he is a reliable person to invest in, he must get engaged and get married and do all the things. That was a terrible explanation, but I am so upset. So this was a book of the month pick, I believe last spring or something, and I just got around to reading it, and I am upset about that because it is fantastic and I wish I would have read it sooner. Oh, I'm so happy that I finally read it because it was amazing. I'm so mad that I did not read it sooner. I also listened to the audiobook partially, as well because I couldn't put it down. I could not put this down. It was so good. I read this in like 2 days. I'm a big fan. I highly recommend this one. All right, well that was the 9 books that I read in March. That was a lot. Editing Larissa here. I forgot to announce the April book club pick. We're going with Romantic Comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. Curtis Sittenfeld? Yeah, it's this month's book of the month. One of the picks. So we're going with that one. I put a poll up on my Instagram and that one won. So that's how we're doing. Thanks. Carry on. Ha. Listen, my goal is always 4 books a month. 9 is a little bit too much. But again, March is 3 months long, so never feel pressured to read a lot. I need to take that pressure off myself. There are so many books in the world that I want to read, and I am scared that I will not get to read them all, which sends me into panic and it makes me want to read more. But enjoy the books that you are consuming, if you're consuming any at this point in your journey. And I'm going to try to pull it back a little bit because this was excessive. This was a lot. So yeah, take this with a grain of salt, but I am really happy with my reading month. I have quite a few new favorites and I just love reading, guys. Okay, well with that, respect others, respect yourself, and do something amazing with your day. Thanks, bye.